what haven't we hit? We're
So there's
like,
one major thing we haven't hit, and that's why I'm
yeah,
teasing part four, which is obviously when I saw all these problems, I also went into this with a better model. I knew what should be there, right? I knew what the I knew one form of how to articulate the player experience, let's say. So that's what when I say people's game creators' mental models are low quality, one way of assessing the quality of a model is comparing it to another one. The other one in this case was mine. I'm saying this is what psychology knows about player experience. And this is how you could articulate it if you wanted, if you knew about calculus, right? If you knew about, obviously it's not calculus,
yeah,
but if you were
yeah, yeah,
if you
yeah.
were trained on what this is what you would put in the box because you know how people work. So that's what we're not talking about today is, well, now we've seen all the problems, all the different layers of problems, what would a more accurate model look like? What would help the game industry be aligned on a vision and help this friction between publisher or co-dev or product vision and creative vision? That's the book I'm going to write in 2025. I'm going to call it Game Vision. I'm going to try and be as straight as possible. So that's my job, and that's the bit we're not talking about. But I hope in about 8 months' time, I can come back and
Oh yeah.
it'll all come out. This is
No, I'm loving it. I'm looking forward to that. I just the highlighting of the problems, I think, and even that idea of, you said something earlier, which is when we, okay, there's a phrase, insanity is trying the same thing
yeah.
over and over, or
And
sorry, what is
expecting
it?
the different
Doing the
result
same thing
over and over, expecting a different.
doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And actually, for me, I go, no, that is actually fairly normal human behavior. In many areas of life, many of us do the same things over and over and expect a different result or hope for a different result and get frustrated when it doesn't happen. We're like, something's wrong with the world because it didn't give me a different result, even though
Yeah.
I have no history to support that it should. But there's something that if instead, when we were doing that same thing over and over, the thing I would perhaps ask people to do out there is stop for a second, take the day to think about the vision, and allow yourself to be curious about what you're not articulating or what you're not aligned around, and try to focus on that. Even thinking about this idea of, well, wait a minute, what is the product vision or business vision or marketing vision? What is the creative vision? How do those things relate? Do we know how? How do I get the right people in the room who think about those two separate things and talk through it? Because we'll wait for the book and we'll wait for the next episode around a lot of that stuff to kind of go in more detail. But as we're talking about these problems, one of the things that comes to me is what we were talking about at the end: curiosity, learning. How can you stop being the expert who's supposed to know and so is not curious, and start going, maybe this is a solvable problem, and the answer isn't just, I don't know, that's how it is, keep building stuff.
Exactly that. I would invite people, if I was to give some homework, as you say, try and spot this in your own studio. Go and speak to someone in the opposite frame as you, even. So if you're in creative vision, go and speak to someone in product vision. So someone in marketing or audience sizing or something like that, and ask them to describe the game you're working on together. You're on the same team, right? And you've got your idea. Even write it down beforehand. Ask them what the game is as well, or how they think about the game. Just to introduce this idea that there are people on the team who don't see it the way you do. That by itself, just realizing, okay, we're on the same team, but we do not think alike. We were in the same room when the creative director talked about the vision, but we didn't